I figured since we're kind of gearing up for all the events this weekend coming, we would go through the account and talk a little bit about uh, who's had the biggest impact for me so far that I've felt. So I figured we'd kind of narrow it down to like the top five. And I think they're not going to be in any particular order, like not who's necessarily been the most impactful. I just want to talk about a few of the heroes that have made a noticeable change in my ability to progress and maybe potentially uh, make a case for some of them. Like I did, I made a whole video about her, and she is the first one we're going to talk about today. So if you want to check that out, I'll card to it up there. I did a more in-depth video on her, but she was the first one I pulled that really made a big change for me. She took me all the way through I think it was the melee or the endurance raid, one of them. Maybe the melee raid. She took me straight up to 15. Like basically her by herself. All I had to do was put other tanks in the way to slow the enemies down and then let her cross the lane. But I felt her impact greatly. I'm still getting a ton out of her. She has been so important for my progress so far. And anywhere that I can use her, I pretty much do. I don't use her so much in the marksman raid and stuff because even though her ult will hit aerial targets, it's kind of hard to rely on someone for just that. So in that way, I've kind of phased her out of some of the teams as I've gotten more marksman under my belt. But she's really, really good, man. She's easy to build. She's got good range for someone that clogs a lane. I'm noticing that a lot of fighters and tanks and stuff only have the range of one square in front of them. So her having the longer range, she can take care of a lot of things that are problems. The green poison bugs that when they explode, they leave a cloud of poison. You put her in their lane, she can kill them before they even get to you, so they can't be a problem. I used her to lock down entire sides of a map by herself. Many times as I was progressing through the campaign and different dungeons. Just a really, really cool champ. Really stoked that I pulled her. I think she was fantastic to pull early on. And so far, I still haven't outgrown her. So, like I said, she's a big part of a lot of the things that I do. So she's definitely one of the main five, I would say, that had a big impact on me and my ability to progress. The next one I want to talk about is Abson, who, again, I got some mixed energy about when I pulled. Some people were like, sorry about your Abson, and a few other people were like, he's actually really good. I really like him. I can't speak in the grand scheme of things, right? I'm not in the end game yet. I don't have a ton of legendaries. I don't have a ton of exposure to a bunch of different champs. I don't know how he compares to a lot of other heroes in the game. But for me and my account and my own progress, he's been incredible. Again, I was struggling with ranged champs for a little bit, and being able to take him and put him down to block a lane and have him also deal with aerial threats as they come is huge. It's definitely got me through some parts of the game that I was stuck in earlier on. And the fact that he's kind of got that broader, his range almost looks like a hammer. He's got like a 2x3 square in front of him, and then the straight line that goes out the middle that I think is 4 squares long. He's got really good range, same length of range as her, but then he's also got the range around him, so you can put him in a position behind your tank where he can still take care of other lanes as well. He crowds a portal really well, and again, he can deal with aerial threats and ground threats. His damage has been pretty solid for me. It's not really fallen off yet. He's got an automatic ult, so I don't even have to babysit him. I just put him down and give him a little bit of sustain with a healer, and he does his job, and I don't have to think about him again. And he very rarely has let me down. He's been really, really good. Again, pretty easy to build. Have I skilled him up? I think I've skilled a lot of my champs up to the point that it's going to start requiring crystals, and then I've been hanging on to them because I want to make sure that I don't, use some I don't want to use. But Abson was a big deal for me for a while, and again, I'm still using him. He's in most of the teams that I put together at this point. So he was a big deal for me. Again, I don't know how he compares to other heroes, and maybe if I had a handful of other ones, I wouldn't need him. But for where I'm at right now, I need him. He's definitely one of the more important ones in my account. For the next one we're going to talk about, I think we need to talk about Vortex. Now, Vortex is a fusible champ, which is pretty cool. And I didn't fully understand until I got him and put him on the battlefield how good he is. But his range is absurd. His range is ridiculous. And he's really good, man. He definitely allowed me to achieve some setups on some stages where I was struggling, because she's a great healer for the range that she's got. She's really good, but it's hard to keep everybody close knit like that. Sometimes I need broader range, and Vortex, in a lot of instances, I can set him toward the back of a stage or the bottom of a setup, and he can pretty much cover everybody. I can split my team up in a way that covers multiple lanes and achieves everything I need to achieve with a setup, and he covers everybody. And as I get him stronger, he'll be able to heal by himself a little bit more. But in the instances that I do need some help, I have her, and I can double her up. And so that one section of my team that needs it can have those double heals and pretty much not be in any danger at all. But more so than her, he made such a big impact because his range is so big that he just makes so much more possible. It's so much easier to set your team up in an effective way because he covers just a ridiculous part of the map. I still haven't seen any heroes in the game that have range like him. And again, I don't have exposure to a lot of the heroes, so I'm not saying there aren't heroes that have that kind of range. I just haven't seen it yet. And it's a total game changer. So I got some pretty good advice early on where is if you get him, build your first copy of him. And then future copies you can use for the fusion if you want to. I went ahead and I think I might have spent one of my resources on awakening him because I wanted to get him awakened. And I'm trying to hang on to those as well because I want to be careful about how I spend those. But yeah, he's ridiculous. All right. So that's 3. Who else we got here? Who we think? I would say a pretty good candidate for the 4th spot is Idil. She definitely got me through some walls. Y'all remember there was a couple of campaign stages I was stuck on. Her ult with its unlimited range. The range becomes unlimited, attacks single enemy 3 times, and it goes for a while. This is really, really good for those stages where I can't remember what the enemies are called, but they come out on either side and they strike the last hero you placed, and then that other chick comes out with the acid mist, and then sometimes you've got the boss that'll come out and slowly work their way toward you. She can hit them from anywhere, so you can drop her down with some good sustain. I usually put her where Vortex and Madan can both heal her, and she can start to take care of these problems that are so far away from our setup, that are usually such a big nuisance. She definitely pushed me through some walls we were stuck at, and she's also pretty good in arena for a few of the different themes or whatever you want to call them. So she's definitely been good. I've gotten a lot out of her. She's again pushed me through some walls. She was pretty impactful. So, like, some of you might be annoyed that I'm not putting Comet on this list because he is very strong. And I'm feeling the effects of it now, but it took me a while to get him there. I needed to get him 6-starred. I needed to get him geared. He needed a lot, and I feel how strong he is now, but he's not necessarily pushing me through any walls. So that's kind of what we're talking about. I'm not talking about who I think my strongest heroes are. I'm talking about who's had the biggest impact for me as I've been progressing. So I'm not throwing shade at him at all. He's probably the strongest one I have right now. His damage output's insane, but it took a while for me to feel the effects of him, whereas some of these other ones, it was immediate. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. So yeah, I think she probably belongs on the list. And then I think the 5th one, I'm gonna have to give to Olaf. He is just straight up busted, man. He, in the same way that I talked about being able to place her down so she can lock down a whole side of the map, I can place him down and he can clog up a lane, and I don't even have to give him a healer. He literally can clog up a whole lane with no one else. If I give him a little bit of damage to keep him from getting flooded so that his block limit gets reached, he doesn't even need sustain. It opens up so many more possibilities, and he is largely responsible for my final push through those storyline missions. I think I was in like 14 or 15. And I finally built him, and he's a big part of my success in most of those missions that involved gameplay. And progressing through the endurance promotion raids, progressing through much further in the campaign than I would have otherwise. Even on stages where some of my other heroes are getting one-shotted. Like even Baron, who to be fair is only 5-star, but still. Baron goes down, you know, he'll get hit and his health will drop immediately and trigger his passive. He'll sustain him without a healer. He's absolutely busted, dude. I've spoken with, I think it's Succeed that I've talked to in the Discord, who let me borrow his as a rep one day, and hopped in a call with me and showed me a little bit how he works and showed me how he's built him and stuff. We're both kind of at the same point where it's like, I don't understand how they haven't changed him yet. He's so busted strong. If you have him, I think even if you've got other tanks built, if you've got this dude, you need to build him if you haven't yet. It's unbelievable how strong he is for where I'm at in the game, and how strong the enemies feel for everyone else in my roster, how weak they feel to him. It's crazy. It's like he's on such a different level than everyone else in my roster as far as his ability to take punishment. Definitely belongs in the top 5 for me on who's had the biggest impact on my account so far. So I feel pretty good about that. Again, it's just not me trying to like throw shade at anybody else here. There might be some other ones that are going to do more for me that I need to get built. And again, I'm a big fan of this dude. He's one of my favorites that I have. He's definitely one of my strongest that I have. But again, I don't know that I felt the impact of him the same way that I did the other champs I've talked about here. So it'll be fun to see how this develops as I start to transition into like more of a mid game, working my way towards the later game experience. It's going to be interesting to see who steps up, who continues to make an impact, who I have that I haven't utilized fully yet that's going to make an impact, who I'm going to pull in the future summon sessions that's going to make a big impact. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this develops. Because we've got a lot of champs down here we haven't even done anything with yet. So, and then again, we've got a lot of summon sessions to still do as well. So I'm very excited to see how it develops. I'm having a blast with the game. I think it's very well put together. I think the devs are doing a really great job. And yeah, man, I'm having a really good time here. So I'd be interested to hear from you guys some heroes that you feel this way about, that maybe for wherever you're at in the game. If you remember who impacted you in your early game progression, who started to stand out for you in mid game and late game. I'd be curious to hear about your experience. And then I guess if you've kind of been eyeing my roster and there's anybody that you're like waiting on me to get to, that you're excited, that you think's going to make a big difference for me, I'd be interested to hear some of that as well. So definitely this will be one that I'm pretty particularly active in the comments as far as reading the comments goes, because I would like to hear from you guys as well. There's so many heroes in the game that I don't know about yet. I really only know the ones I'm exposed to, and then there's a couple I've seen as reps that I've tried, like Regulus, and a couple of standouts. Like I know that what's her name? It's an A word. It's not aggression. It's what's her friggin' name? That's gonna drive me nuts. Hang on a second. We gotta figure this out. It's her, right? No, that's Zalitu. Arrogance. Not a chick. It's Arrogance. I was mixed up a little bit. I was thinking of Zalitu, but I meant Arrogance. Like I've heard the names of some that are super standout, but I'm not familiar with a lot of them. Like I've got no idea who she is. A lot of the heroes in this game I don't know yet, so it'll be fun to hear you guys talk about who's had an impact on your account. And I guess that's it for today. We're gonna get out of here. I'm excited for all the events to go live. We're gonna jump and do some summons, grind real hard to try to get Pyros because he seems insane. Should be a pretty fun weekend for us. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know if you like this. We'll do more stuff like this aside from just our daily gameplay episodes and stuff. And again, very excited to hear about y'all's experience with the game in this way as well. So I'm getting out of here. Have a good one.